And welcome into the Lincoln Playbook. 4 games in the books for the Lincoln Golden Bears. I'm Gary Mathingani, joined in with head coach of the Lincoln Golden Bears, Brad Wallace, and coach, obviously, from a standpoint of the scoreboard, not what you wanted last week against the Anderson Bulldogs. But talk about the way that your kids, came out and competed. And I know you changed some things up. We'll get into that in a little bit. But just the way your team competed on the road last Friday night.
Well, I thought our kids came out and they came up for the battle. I mean, we were going to change some things up, like you said, offensively, just to try to get our run game started.
Right.
I mean, we've been struggling with our run game probably the first 3 ball games, and I was kind of hoping to take a little bit off of the kids and let it be more of a relaxed deal where they can go out there and they can play, and there's not so much read and not so much thought process in our offense. And but we moved the ball pretty good at times, and then at times we look like we hadn't never played it before. But that's some things we got to get to work on, is some consistency in what we do.
The season's always about adjusting and reacting some of the things that are going on. Talk about just as far as the offense goes. You don't have to get into all the schematics and give everything away, but some of the things that you see that this team has done well with the new changes that you have, and then some of the things you want to see improved on.
Well, the pitch play that we put in this week is going to be very good for us later on. Mm-hmm. We've got to get it blocked up correctly. We've got some young players that are working in at fullback right now, and we're trying to get them to understand the schematics of what we're trying to do, and it's taking a little bit, but we're going to be okay. And we've got some offensive linemen that they're going to be some changes coming in this week. I mean, it's because of not performing, or we're not where we need to be at game 4 anyways.
Right. Do you find that at this point in the season you're seeing some of the positive aspects of trying to get that ball rolling? I know that a lot of times you can't play the result as much, but just trying to see some positive aspects here and there to build on for this year in the offseason.
Well, yeah. I mean, we ran the ball well the other night. We moved it up and down the field. That was something. That was a positive that we took out of the game. Was it blocked up right? No, but that was a positive. Our defense came out at the beginning of the game, and I mean, they really played very well. You take 2 plays away from, offensively we gave up that first touchdown with a fumble, and then defense played very well during that ball game. So I mean, we've got to get it all together, and everybody all is one, and get our leadership going back on our football team, and I really have a good feeling about our football team. It's just one of those things where you're just like, how can I light it?
Right.
How can I get the spark to light?
Right.
And to light the fire in the kids, and that's what I'm looking for right now.
Absolutely. We talk about momentum all the time, and it's easy when you're on a roll. Kind of like last year when you won the region championship, when you're on a roll. At this point of the year, do you change things up as far as practice goes? Do you change things up as far as scheme goes, or the weight room? Or is it, hey, we've won with this system, and we just maybe need to tweak it here and there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably it'll probably be a little bit more competitive this week. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll probably go back to ground level. As I say, when you start out in August, there'll probably be a lot of schematic stuff and some fundamental stuff that we do that is going to be totally different than what we normally do in the middle of a season. We just want to make sure we go back and we're all doing the right things.
Right.
And if we can get that done, I mean, it makes your team better. And I mean, I think right now, we're just kind of going off of, especially offensive line wise, we're just, hey, I got that guy.
Right.
And I think we've thrown our rules out, and so we're going to work on that a lot this week and try to get ourselves better. I mean, we've got to. I mean, Montford's a train rolling right now. So.
Absolutely. We will definitely get into the big rivalry game coming up in Game 5. But first, we'll take a look at the first half highlights here on the Lincoln Playbook. This show is brought to you by many fine sponsors. One of them is Luxury Auto Parts. Go visit Lee McLean and the folks. LuxuryAutoParts.com from your phone, your tablet, or your computer, or give them a call at 205-763-1084 or 1-888-589-PARTS. They have a huge lot out there. Go visit Lee McLean and the fine folks at Luxury Auto Parts. More of the Lincoln Playbook after the break. Welcome back to the Lincoln Playbook. You're looking at first half highlights of Lincoln's game against Anderson. Coach, it was a big rivalry game. It's also a big region game. Talk about the start that you wanted to get off to.
Well, we wanted to start off and get a good drive in right at the beginning. But we had a mishap right at the beginning of the game, and we had a fumble and put our defense in a bind, and it's 7-0 right off. But the thing I liked about our kids is we came back and we start ground pounding again, and we do a very good job. We have a great return here by Montrell Johnson, and it gets it out to the 50-yard line. And I mean, that's great field position, and we start doing our ground pounding from here.
Absolutely. This is the first time you put it in that I formation that you talked about. Talk about this first series, being able to get the ball kind of where you wanted to in spots, and we're seeing where it was successful in some spots and some spots where there were some holes.
Yeah, it's harder on the offensive line because there's not as much leeway about releasing a guy and that type stuff, and you've got to stay on your blocks for the full 4 seconds.
For sure.
And I think when our kids see the film that they'll understand that. But we did a good job at spurts when we actually moved the ball very well, and in at spurts it looked like we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we were getting tackled in the backfield. So we've got to polish some things up there. But like I said, we hadn't thrown out our other part of our offense. This is just something to try to change up if things aren't going our way with that spread.
Absolutely. You went right down the field and marched it to tie it up at 7, and they used a little bit of trickeration here. They were trying to get off to a good start as well because Anderson hadn't won a ball game up until this point too.
Yes, sir. I mean, this was tough on that's a 10th grader that's playing corner right there, and we've had to play some of our younger guys in ball games because of our depth, and but he just got lost with the play and got his eyes in the backfield, and we didn't stay on our coverage.
Right, and then Anderson comes right back, and they had the big play that you just saw earlier, and it seems like one of those. It's basically a move of explosive plays. Like if you get them, then it's great, but if you can cause them and stop them like you did right there, it's also good.
That's right. Whiteside did a good job on his coverage, getting over the top, and got us a pick and got our offense back out on the field. But we had lulls in our offense. We had some bright spots in our offense at the beginning of the third quarter. We come back out and we do a great job of running it down the field. But we've got to do a better job tackling. You can see there we're not wrapping up like I think we're capable of right now. And I mean I'm not talking about the high school rule, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to get it in with that limited time of tackling. And I mean you can't tackle dummies in air.
Exactly.
You've got to learn to tackle bodies. So
right,
that's part of your time that you have to spend.
And it seems like the more and more the season goes along, the more physical you have to be.
Oh yeah, you have to. Their bodies adjust, and everybody's starting to get better and better as the weeks progress.
Absolutely. And you got 2 big interceptions there in the second quarter to really stop the momentum that Anderson had going on.
Yeah, I mean. And those 2 things that really help. I mean, our defense, like I said, our defense is doing some phenomenal stuff out there, and we're just putting ourselves in a bind offensively, and we've got to find ways of getting into the end zone quicker, and then being able to, when we have the lead, sustain the lead. We've got to be able to just grind it out and keep our D off the field.
We talked about the adjustments that you guys were making. Talk about some of the adjustments that you wanted to play off of what some of the things Anderson was doing.
Well, I mean, we kind of knew where they were going to be at the beginning, and then they did some major changing on us in the second quarter, so we had to adjust to that. And but as far as schematic wise, I mean we've got it all blocked up. I mean I've watched the tape 2 or 3 times this past weekend, and I'm just frustrated right now with just not going by the rule of how you're supposed to do the blocks on the offensive line.
Right. You talked about the offense doing its work as far as changing the scheme and changing the way they block and changing how basically the offense looks and presents itself. Flip it over to the defensive side. You said that you guys were in position to make some of those plays. And talk about run fitting and filling in those gaps.
Well, some things on the defensive line that we need to get corrected is we've got to start getting that good push on, and if you watch Saturday. Yeah, I mean, I tell our kids all the time, go watch a game.
Right.
Just watch a game on Saturday, and you'll learn a lot if you'll just watch your position on Saturday. The teams that dominate the defensive line are usually the teams that win.
Right.
And so that's one thing that we've got to work on defensively, and our tackling. I mean, we've got to become better tacklers. When the first one locks up, the rest of the cavalry needs to come and help out on it every time.
Right. And then physicality is also still a really, really big deal, especially at this juncture of the year.
That's right. I mean, just being physical and I mean, not sit back and waiting on things to happen. Go out and make things happen. So.
Right. Well, coming up next here on the Lincoln Playbook, we will jump into second half highlights and also look ahead to the big rivalry game against Munford. We'll have all that and more right here on the Lincoln Playbook. Second half highlights of Lincoln's game against the Anniston Bulldogs. Coach, we talked about some of the things you talked about at halftime and then talk about the way they executed.
Well, this guy, L.J. Carmichael, came out romping and stomping in the second half. He did a phenomenal job coming out and getting us started with our run game. We made a major mistake right there. We almost had a pick right at the beginning of the second half. But LJ's one of those backs. He didn't get to play for us last year, and he's missing a year of filling things out and not understanding what's going on with our offense. But
right.
He's getting a better grasp of it every week. And I mean, when a kid's 6'2", 190, it gives you a good base in the backfield.
Right, and he runs so hard as well.
He does, and this is Montrell Johnson capitalizing on that muff punt. I mean, on that fumbled punt snap. So.
And also, it seems to me that whenever you were able to get the defense going, whether it's an interception, you had 2 in the first half, or in the special teams game, you were able to turn that into some good momentum.
We were, and I mean that's what we've got to get our momentum started at the beginning instead of waiting to try to find it throughout the ball game. We got to have our energy level high when the beginning of the game starts.
Right, and you always talk about those kind of games where the score is not really indicative of the way the game was played. And I mean, this is a 14-13 ball game late there and going into the fourth quarter.
Going into it was all the way up to about 5 minutes left on the clock, and they made a huge drive and scored on us, and it's almost like we just. All right, they won it.
Right,
and I hate to say that about our football team, but. That's the way it kind of looked down the field, and that's the way it looked on my when I was grading tape. We can't be like that. I mean, we've got to be able to fight all the way to the last few minutes of the ball game, and I mean, it's got to be 100% for 4 quarters.
Absolutely, and you feel like this is kind of like a teaching point moving forward into the season. Hey guys, we can't be in 1-point ball games and then let things like that kind of spiral out. We have to be able to take control and take the momentum as well.
That's right, and I mean we've got to be able to finish the ball game, and even if we're behind at the end, you never know what can happen.
Right.
You never know. You can't get your heads down. You've got to keep fighting for 4 quarters until the final whistle blows.
Absolutely, and then a big play for Anniston. And we talked about how big plays kind of helped you guys out, and I guess you can also turn on the tape on and say, hey guys, we're capable of making these big plays as well.
Oh, we are, and I mean, we've got to get back into what we do best. Sunday we sat down and we're going to discuss what we needed to get pulled out for our offense, and defensively we need to find out what we do best there, and we need to go with it, and we need to make it simple on the kids and let them play fast because it's stuff that they're comfortable with.
Is there anything that you feel like you need to change in the preparation? Is it going to be more rest, or is it more physicality? How do you balance that?
We'll probably be doing a lot more fundamental stuff on Monday.
Right.
I mean, it's I don't like to be in helmets and shoulder pads longer than we have to, because I mean by now you're getting those bumps and bruises and you're getting beat up. But we're going to have to use some time on Monday and Tuesday to get ourselves prepared for this game on Friday, and it's going to be more fundamental periods and understanding exactly how you're supposed to do stuff, and so it's going to take a long week of work, but I think we're going to be okay.
Absolutely. We talked about some of the younger guys that have been contributing. Is this kind of like a point where you experiment a little bit more, maybe move some guys in different positions, or is it you want to kind of see where this new offense can go?
Well, you're going to try to find some guys to stick in spots, because I've got some things on my mind right now where, especially being the offensive line coach, we got to start fixing our leakage, and hopefully that we can do that with maybe a new face in a position that, I mean, they're playing it, but they're in a backup role, and that's what I told them Friday night. I said, you guys that are sitting in backup roles, it's time to start pushing and trying to make an effort to get up in number one.
Absolutely, and they'll have a great chance to do that this week in practice, and then next week coming up against the Munford Lions. Coming up next here on the Lincoln Playbook, we will talk about that huge rivalry game. It's a huge game in Talladega County, Lincoln, and Munford. Fine folks over at the Lincoln Booster Club help present this show to you. Mondays, 6:30 at First State Bank is where they meet. Any prospective member is welcome to attend. Again, that's every Monday at 6:30 at First State Bank. They support Coach Wallace, his staff, the football team, and all sports at Lincoln High School. Back with more of the Playbook after the break. The Lincoln Golden Bears will step out of region play for Game 5, and it's a huge one. It's the one that really doesn't need much of an introduction. It's one of the biggest rivalries in the state of Alabama, Lincoln and Munford. And Coach, I know really kind of they say this about these kind of games. You toss the records out the window, and this is community with community and players that know each other and communities that know each other and two schools that know each other really well.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's not just. It's kind of like the Auburn-Alabama game. It's talked about year-round, and it's one of those games that you get excited about, and it could be a season changer for you. It could develop a lot of confidence in a bunch of players, and looking forward to playing this one. To be honest with you, I mean they've got a great offense that's been putting up a lot of numbers, and their quarterback's a phenomenal player.
Right.
He's done a very good job with controlling the game and handling the game, and defensively they'll just about bring the house on you and zero you out, and so it's going to be one of those physical games where we've got to know exactly what we're supposed to be doing to be able to win this ball game.
When it comes to a preparation standpoint, is there anything that you need to not necessarily change, but do you see like a heightened sense of, hey, this is a big one. This could be our season.
Yeah, our kids will come out, and it'll be urgent for them this week to make sure that they know what they're doing. They don't really want to hear it for another year,
right?
And so it's been about 2 years since we won this ball game, and so we're looking at it as we've got to go out and we've got to play very well to win it, but we got that opportunity. We've got the players, we've got the talent. We've just got to put it all together as one.
It's always different when you go to a new system with a new coach, and it was like that for you guys, for your opponents, trying to find out the way to attack you guys. You feel kind of that same way now with Bill Smith, the first-year head coach over there at Munford?
Really, him and Coach Wagner are very similar in a lot of things that they do, and so it helps us. I mean, it's not like we're having to throw out our game plans that we've done in the past. I mean, and some things that we've done in the past is because they are very similar. They do the quick screens. They do the reads, and so we'll just have to go into this ball game and see where we wind up toward the end.
Absolutely. This is a Munford team that they've scored a lot of points. They've given about some points as well, but they've scored a lot of points. You talked about their offense. Is this one of those where you want to see that defense of yours step up to make sure you kind of combat that, so you don't have to score 50, 60 plus points?
This week would be a great week for them to step up and if we could get the ball rolling all the way around, we could be a great football team. And I know I keep saying that,
right?
But I really see a lot of things in our kids. The confidence level, I think, is the main thing that we need to get. And with this game coming up, it could be one of those deals that where we could gain a lot of confidence out of it.
Right.
And maybe it'll click in their mind, hey, we've got to do the right things each play, and we've got to maintain our block for that 4 seconds and get our backs the opportunity to get into the end zone.
We have a look at the Class 5A Region 6 standings, and is it one of those situations where at this point of the season you can use this game to springboard yourself into the rest of the 4 games to close out your year in the region?
Yeah, and it could be something that, I guess the thing that I keep looking at is we're not a bad football team.
Right.
And we've played with St. Clair County all the way to the wire, and they've gone on and been very successful in our region. And we've got to get back to what we do best, and hopefully that'll springboard us back in the second half of the season.
We talk about this every week. Some of the tangible things that you want to see come out of this football game. I know every week you want to see all improvement across the board, incremental amounts, whether it's small or large. But some of the things that you want to see, okay, hey, next week, guys, we can get better at this because we know that we can because we've done it before.
Well, just being plain as day, probably our offense we need to see it roll this week, and that needs to be something that we put a precedence on and try to get ourselves to where we can be a big part of our team, and if we can do that, it makes things a lot easier for us, and we don't have to sit in a struggle with like we had last week with a 14-13 game, and maybe we could get some cushion on that before the end of the ball game.
Absolutely. And final thing, this is one of those ones where it gets the school energized as well. This game gets the school energized. Talk about just this week as far as the student body goes and the administration and all of that.
Oh, our administrator's phenomenal. He always puts free dress day on if we beat Montford, and it's a big week for us as a school. It's a big week for their school. And it's an exciting atmosphere. It's a playoff atmosphere when you get to the game, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Best of luck, Coach, this week. Game 5 against the Munford Lions. Go out to Munford Stadium Friday, 7 p.m. for that huge non-region matchup between the Munford Lions and the Lincoln Golden Bears. We will break that game down next week right here on the Lincoln Playbook. We'll see you next week.